The Christmas Promise. Christmas Eve, the rush. It was Christmas Eve. Not the movie version of Christmas Eve, not the peaceful, snow is falling, carols in the background kind. It was the real one. Crowded streets. People are carrying too many bags. Delivery guys are trying to make one last drop. Cars honking because everyone suddenly remembered they needed just one more thing. And me? I was right in the middle of it. I remember walking fast, hands in my pockets, cold air on my face, thinking, how did Christmas become this? I wasn't angry. Just tired. Tired of the pressure. Tired of trying to make everything perfect. Tired of pretending to be in the spirit when honestly, I didn't feel it. The lights were beautiful. The shop windows were beautiful. People were taking pictures in front of the big tree in the square. But inside me, it felt quiet. Too quiet. I had a bag in my right hand, a last-minute gift I didn't even really want to buy, and I was heading home. Snow had started, just a little. The kind of snow that looks nice under streetlights. And I remember thinking, Christmas Eve, and I still don't feel it. The Forgotten Promise. And then, for no reason, I thought about something I hadn't thought about in years. A promise. A Christmas promise. It was from a long time ago. I was younger. Life was simpler. I didn't have so many responsibilities. I was with my mom. It was also Christmas Eve. I remember we were in the kitchen, the warmest room in the house, and she was wrapping gifts. There was music playing, old Christmas songs, the kind that sound like another century. The house smelled like cinnamon and orange. And she said something to me. Something small. Something I didn't think would stay with me. She said, Christmas isn't always happy for everyone. So if you ever see someone alone on Christmas Eve, be kind. Don't let them stay alone. Promise me. I laughed and said, okay, Mom. I promise. Just like that. So easy. So fast. You know when you're young, and you say yes to everything? You don't realize that some words stay with you. But that sentence, that promise, stayed somewhere in my heart, sleeping. And on this Christmas Eve, years later, walking fast through the cold, it woke up. The woman at the bus stop. I turned the corner to go to my street. There's a small bus stop there, nothing special. Just a little glass shelter, a bench, a timetable nobody reads. And that's where I saw her. An older woman. Wrapped in a dark coat. Sitting alone at the bus stop on Christmas Eve. No shopping bags. No gifts. No one was waiting next to her. Just her. She was holding her hands together like she was cold. She wasn't looking at her phone like everyone else. She was just waiting. And the promise came back like a voice, if you ever see someone alone on Christmas Eve, be kind. I walked past her. I didn't stop. I didn't say anything. I didn't even slow down. I just walked past her, thinking, she's fine. Maybe she's waiting for someone. Maybe her bus is coming. Maybe. It's none of my business. I got to the door of my building. I took out my keys. I looked back. She was still there. The street was getting emptier. You know that feeling on Christmas Eve, when everything starts closing, and the city gets quiet, and you realize people are home with family. She wasn't. I stood there with the keys in my hand. And I heard my mom's voice again. Don't let them stay alone. Promise me. I sighed. I put the keys back in my pocket. I turned around and walked back to the bus stop. The awkward start. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what to say. How do you walk up to a stranger and say, hey, I made a promise to my mom 15 years ago, so can I talk to you? So I started simple. I said, good evening. She looked up, surprised. You know that surprised look when people don't expect kindness? Like they're not used to being noticed? She said, oh, good evening. I said, are you waiting for the bus? She smiled a little, a tired smile, and said, yes. But I think it's late. Or it's not coming. I looked at the timetable, just to look like I was doing something useful, even though I can't read bus schedules to save my life. I said, it's Christmas Eve. Maybe it's on a holiday schedule. She laughed softly. Yes. The world is on a holiday schedule. There was a silence. Not a bad silence, a shy silence. I said, are you going somewhere? She said, I was going to visit my sister. But she called and said the roads are bad and the weather is getting worse. So, I decided not to go. I said, "So you're going home?" She nodded. Yes. Another silence. The snow got a little heavier. You could hear it hitting the roof of the bus stop. The street was getting quieter and quieter. I looked at her and I realized she was going to spend Christmas Eve alone. The invitation. I don't know why I said it. Maybe it was the promise. Maybe it was the snow. Maybe it was the tired look on her face. But I said, "I live just over there. I'm about to make some tea. You're welcome to come and warm up while you wait. If you want." I said it carefully. I didn't want to scare her. I didn't want to make it weird. She looked at me for a second, really looked, like she was trying to read my soul. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. She said, "That's very kind." Then she paused and added, "You must have had a good mother." That hit me. Right in the heart. I laughed and said, "Yes. I did." She stood up. We walked slowly to my building, snow under our feet, two strangers on Christmas Eve. Inside, warmth. Inside, everything felt softer. The contrast between the cold street and the warm apartment was huge. I turned on the little lights I had. Nothing fancy, just some string lights on a shelf. I said, "Please, sit. I'll make tea." She took off her gloves slowly, carefully, like someone who lives alone and takes care of their things. She looked around and said, "It smells nice." I said, "It's cinnamon." I was planning to make something. Christmas why? Which was a lie. I wasn't planning to make anything. But now I was. I made tea, added honey because that's what you do when you want to be kind. We sat at the small table. She held the cup with both hands like she was absorbing the warmth. I said, "Do you live far from here?" She said, "Not far. 15 minutes. But the cold makes it feel longer." I said, "Do you have family here?" She smiled in a way that said, "Not really. They're all far away now. Some are gone. Some are busy. You know how life is." I nodded. "Yes. I know how life is." Then she looked at the window, at the snow, and said, "Christmas is beautiful. But it can be a lonely night. If nobody says your name." That line. I felt it. Because that was exactly what I had been feeling all day. Not lonely, exactly. But unnoticed, like Christmas was happening around me, not to me. The promise revealed. We talked some more. About simple things. About the weather. About how the city used to be. About how Christmas used to feel different. Then I told her. I said, "You know, the only reason I invited you in is because I made a promise to my mom when I was young." She smiled, like she already knew, and said, "Ah, a Christmas promise." I said, "Yes." She told me, "If you ever see someone alone on Christmas Eve, be kind. Don't let them stay alone." The woman looked down at her tea and said quietly, "Your mother was a good woman." I said, "She was." She said, "And you kept the promise." I said, "I almost didn't." She laughed. "We seldom do. That's why we need Christmas. To remind us." The gift. We sat there in comfortable silence. I didn't give her an expensive present. I didn't buy her anything. I didn't start singing carols like a movie. I just made tea. I just listened. I just kept a promise. After a while, she said, "I should go before it gets later." I said, "Let me walk you." We walked outside again. The snow was falling slowly now, the pretty kind. We walked to the corner where the streetlights made little circles of light. She stopped, turned to me, and said, "You made your mother proud tonight." Then she put her hand in her pocket and took out a small, folded piece of paper. She said, "I make these for Christmas. I don't have many people to give them to anymore." I opened it. It was a little card, handmade, with a short sentence written in beautiful handwriting. "Kindness is a light. Even on cold nights." I looked up. She was smiling. I said, "Thank you." She said, "No. Thank you. Nobody should spend Christmas Eve alone." Then she walked away, slowly, disappearing into the snow. The realization. I went back inside. It was still my small apartment. It was still the same Christmas Eve. I still had the same problems. The same life. But something had changed. The house didn't feel empty anymore. And I understood something. Christmas doesn't always arrive with music and fireworks. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet voice saying, "Hey, remember who you are." Sometimes it arrives as a stranger at a bus stop. Sometimes it arrives as your mother's words from years ago. Sometimes it arrives as tea in a warm kitchen. I sat down, looked at the little card again, and I said out loud, to no one, to everyone, I kept the promise, Mom. And for the first time that day, I actually felt Christmas. The message. If you are watching this, maybe you understand English. Maybe you listen, and you understand, and you feel it. But you don't always speak. Christmas is like that, too. We feel it. We want it. But we don't always do it. So this Christmas Eve, don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait for the perfect money, the perfect house, the perfect mood. Just do one kind thing. Call someone who's alone. Invite someone for tea. Say Merry Christmas and mean it. Because sometimes the most beautiful Christmas is the one you give to someone else. If this story touched you, share it with someone who maybe feels alone this Christmas. And remember, English is not just grammar. It's stories. It's hearts. It's a connection. Merry Christmas, my friend. Freestyle American English stories. Learn English through life.